모든 건 변했다. 히트 시즌2.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Pro League with Tasteless and Valdez. We had a fantastic series earlier on today, and now we're going to be going into our David versus Goliath match.
Yeah, CJ not quite the team that they used to be, and Jair not quite the team they used to be in a better light. They're killing this round, and they're looking like the strongest team by far.
Now, CJ is a great team. They are scary, but this is the match that is pretty impossible, I think. You know,
I looked at Hush's face after he shook Maru's hand, and it was a face of despair. He knows exactly what he's getting himself into. He's like, oh God, why me?
Let's see what Hush does, because I mean, I think you've got to do something insane.
Yeah.
If you're going to beat, Maru, I mean, Maru is. We need to get David Kim to nerf Maru like right away.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Someone break one of his fingers or something.
We're gonna have to give Maru a lobotomy, okay, or something. He's too good at this game. So let's see. I mean, I don't think you play a standard game and beat Maru. I just don't see that happening. And for some reason, especially in Pro League, I mean, this guy is just like untouchable.
Yeah, I really don't think there's any world that Hush comes out here and he plays a straight-up macro game against Maru and wins. You know, I'm just saying it totally honestly. He needs to do something different. It's got to be like a build nobody's ever seen before. This is the good thing about Pro League for some of these players, right? Hush is definitely the underdog here, but he could pull out some insanity, and Maru's just not ready for it, and then it takes a random win in the best of one.
So right now, guys, Maru is 14-1, which is like just unheard of.
That just doesn't happen.
It just does not happen. Normally, if a Starcraft player can like have it about like a 60% win rate, we're talking about not just like ladder games and stuff like that.
No.
When you're playing the very best other players in the world, 14-1 is seriously one of the craziest stats we have in Starcraft 2 for a player like
I mean,
like Maru here, and I mean, Hush is like really good, and he has some cool builds, but I don't know. I don't think these guys are even in the same league.
No, I don't think so. And I feel like this is actually good for CJ, because if it was Maru versus Hero, right, then you're like, okay, we have no chance, right? Because Maru's almost definitely going to be Hero, and then you don't have Hero to take out another player on Jair, say Trap. The fact that he's going up against Rogue is also not good, because Rogue is now like, people say he's the Zest sniper, but basically he's just a fantastic ZVP player. And the fact that Hero gets to go up against him, for CJ, I much would have rather see Biel come out against Rogue and then Hero go up against SOS and try to take some mirror matchup wins like that, but not quite the way it worked out.
Well, this is going to be a very strong start here for Jair. And Jair is really like a legacy building team at this point in time. I think I was thinking about this morning on the way down here, but I think a lot of times there are players that definitely stand out on Jair, like Maru or SOS. But if you really look at their entire lineup, it's actually pretty damn well picked. They really, it's why they're winning in the team. Like, it's not just like a series of big name players that won tournaments in the past. They really got different style players coming out. You got Maru, I mean, he's kind of this mechanical god. He harasses really well. You got SOS, who's just like from the future, okay?
It's he's like an alien or something.
Yeah, he's like an alien and has come down here and he sees the game in different ways and sees colors we can't see. But he also got players with very specific styles. Like Rogue, for instance. So you really just have this like lineup of really dynamic players, and I think that's why they can always send somebody out and that brings back results. I mean, they can really actually pick from a pretty good, and this is maybe something that's a little bit different from like SKT in some ways, is they have like a lot of guys that just historically have a lot of great results, but maybe not
great
as
macro
much
players, but they don't, they don't have that specific something. It's part of the reason why we saw Rogue come out against Zest in the Ace match. Everybody was like, no, it's going to be Maru, of course. Like, Maru's the best player. And then, no, it's Rogue, and then he crushes Zest again.
One thing on that note is it's interesting because the coach for SKT is ILOV, who is like historically one of the best macro Terrans of all time. He was the best macro Terran in the hardest macro matchup for Terran, which is Terran versus Dark. So I wonder if that's some of his you know, his maybe historical bias on how to play the game, encouraging him to pick those players. But, you know, on Gen Air, they just really have an all-star lineup of every style of play. Now, as we can see for predictions here, I'm sorry, man. I don't even know if Hutch's parents would predict him to win this at this point in time. I mean,
poor guy.
But hey, if he wins, that's crazy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's some
And it could happen.
badass results.
It's not likely. I'll just say that, but Hush, I mean, he could pull out something crazy, and that's what I want to see. It's going to be Frozen Temple. It's going to be a 2-player map. Could you know, maybe try to proxy some DTs or something crazy like that. Maru historically had some trouble against DTs. I feel like since then he has kind of fixed that up a little bit, but as we continue to say, like, he's got to do something different here.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect Hush to do a cheese, okay, or to do some proxy. Now, of course, I wonder if Maru expects Hush to do that as well. So it's like one of those things like, I know that you know, but do you know that I know that you know, kind of thing.
And then Hush just plays a straight-up macro game instead?
Yeah,
and then Maru crushes him anyway?
Maybe. I mean, man, we'll have to see. I don't know, man. I'm trying to imagine how Hush could overcome Maru. I guess we're going to see whatever his plan is in a second as this game is loaded up. So get ready for game number 1, Maru versus Hush. In the bottom right, in the green, it's Maru. In the upper left, in the yellow, Hush.
For some reason, it just makes me happy that the Gen Air Green Wings.
Oh, we got one of the writers of Team Liquid down here. Thank you for all your hard work.
Team Liquid writers, CJ, white team. And can we get a look? Nope. He's going to hide his face. We don't know who it is.
He's going the Korean way. We'll never know.
Got to hide his face, too. That's a good friend.
We are anonymous. Okay, so let's see if Maru does try to send out an SCV to do the eBay. I don't know if you want to call it harass. Sometimes you can block the Nexus. Other times you can just like make this big obstruction where the other player can't mine as effectively. Let's see what Maru does here. Because, I mean, when you look at to have results like this guy means beyond just his execution, but his starting builds are very good because a lot of people will just lose because they get countered or they get caught off guard. So it's always interesting, whether even Maru proxies, for instance, or anything like that, you got to know that whatever he does, his builds, that's basically the exact perfect right way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And they're talking about, here I was just trying to read this sign, something about CJ's chances for if they can make it into the playoffs. I think they're 1-2 right now. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they definitely need to take some wins here to do a bit better. And Maru is going for an interesting build here. He's actually gone for double gas, and he's mining from both, but only one in the second gas. So he's getting 4 workers to get gas, and he's going for a faster factory here. So it's not going to be like a fast expand build, which is generally what Maru will do. You know, he just wants to get that economy up and going.
By the way, guys, write that down in your build order notebooks. I know you got them out. That he has 2 gases, but is only mining. He's full mining in one, and then mining from one in the other. And does he transfer now, Valdez?
Yeah. Well, he started to mine from both now with 3.
Okay.
So
because that's like a super specific tailored build. Whenever you see anybody like a Maru's caliber doing that, that is when you want to steal that build.
Steal that build.
That is when, yeah, man, do it, dude. Because you know, this is interesting. He's really gearing up to do some serious harass on a Protoss that's too basic. Now, what surprises me about this is that I feel like Maru can definitely beat Hush in a macro game, so to be playing like this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically, he either thought he was going to get cheesed, so he wanted a 1 base so he could hold that, or he thinks that no matter what, he can kind of out-finesse his opponent here.
He used to do this in the past, too, where he'd play a player he was very favored against, and he would just go 2-Rex proxy. He's like, no, I can just kill him. Like, I don't need to play a real game here. I'm just going to rest and kill him.
He's getting a tank, too. Now, a lot of Protoss is... So, in like, the current meta, and this is like your bread and butter build here from Hush is you start to get stalkers out here. Occasionally you get like one at death and you start poking into the Terran, but you eventually have to get stalkers and you get observers and you just try to eat up the medevac as it comes in here and kind of deflect all the attacks. Now, the fact that there's already a tank, I believe the tank just finished, and there's a the Liberator. So
it's the build.
This is a modernized 1-1-1.
Yeah. Very, very common build nowadays. He follows up with the Cyclone too, and Protoss have just been having so much trouble with this. Look at that instant pickup.
Yeah. He actually wants that to take absorb some of the damage. He needs to pick that up with the medevac. Okay, I guess not. So you're gonna do a push. Now this is kind of a cool build because this is actually one of the oldest Terran builds ever in StarCraft. There's a lot of variants of it, and we saw it also in StarCraft 2. Oh my God, he didn't get that.
It's very low, and there he goes. He does get that here, but now with the tank out and the bunkers nearing completion, he needs to make more pylons, and there he goes. I think it's a little bit late on that pylon, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Well, he's going to get this pylon almost immediately. Now, because of the way that you can bury the tanks over there, and the Cyclone's going to come over here next. I mean, Maru might just win this. And this is actually a great build to do, especially against this current style of Protoss that we see here. And now with the Cyclone here, I mean, there's just not much that Stalkers can do. Now, what he wants to do is he wants to bait out the pylon cannons while utilizing the siege weapons like Liberators. I know you wouldn't normally think of the Liberators as a siege weapon, but it really is. He can hold the position quite perfectly. I think it's a tank here, and he can start poking with the Cyclones, and I mean, that's kind of game. And you see how he baits that out from the Mothership core, and then he just picks up and moves away. And the response here from Hush, which is actually, this has always been the response of Protoss in whatever iteration of StarCraft we've ever had, is Protoss starts to try to get in the way of the reinforcements, but it gets tricky because with bunkers here, Terran can hold this location for like a really long period of time.
Yeah, the only thing is that he gets behind that Liberator, but he doesn't have enough Stalkers to do so. The Nexus goes down, and honestly, I don't know how you stop this build. It looks so strong.
I think the thing is, if Protoss does this, then Terran can take the Nexus out, basically, and especially if you got control like Maru. All right, so he's coming in here now. Looks like the Liberator will finally go down, but how many Stalkers will bite the dust as well?
Well, he does clean this up.
Wow,
the bunker is still up, though.
The tank is still alive here. Now, he is going to eventually break this attack. He'll probably try to save the tank at the last second. Oh my God, but the Liberator comes in here. Medevac, how much HP is on that Medevac, man?
It's like 20. Yeah, look at this. He can't even mine from his main. All the Stalkers are so far out.
Okay, so I mean, Maru's just godlike. So yeah, that's what Protosses do, is they unload on the other side and they try to squash the hard contain right away. But of course, with Liberators in the game, and of course the fact that tanks are just like super mobile now. Look at this, he's actually just chasing this Immortal and what was a Stalker a little while ago.
Yeah, without Blink, basically you're not going to catch this medevac unless the Terran messes up. So it's definitely very hard to deal with. I mean, look at this, the Liberator is still killing all these units.
Is it going to get that last shot off? No. Oh, it did, okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was going to time out like that. Well, with no Immortal, and I don't even see one being made right now. I don't see anything coming from Protoss.
It's got one. It's in that Warp Prison, but it's very, very low.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it really...
There it goes.
I think we're going to see GG in a second here as Maru just tears through this game one. And I got to say, great build. You guys want to steal that build? Remember, he has SCVs. One SCV on his second gas for a little bit before switching over. It looks like it's perfectly economized and timed out, so it can do the absolute amount of unit production and damage. There it is, GG. Maru takes game number one, easy peasy.
Yeah, kind of what we expected, but I didn't really expect that build. But I do understand it. I do get it. You know, this game is, or rather, that map is just so good to do it. It's a two-player map. It's not that long of a rush distance. You can get over there quite fast, set up those bunkers, and yeah, Protosses are going to have to figure it out because so far here in Korea, all the Protosses are just getting crushed by that build.
Well, you know, Terran's really found the Achilles heel for Protoss with that build. Wow, Hush. I mean, that is tough. I feel for the guy. So yeah, I mean, Protoss has basically figured out they could get expands, and Terrans were too used to trying to take an expo themselves, and of course Terrans are very reliant on medevacs. So, you know, Protosses were not taking much damage from Terrans. A lot of the defense was just too good. They couldn't robe up. They just make observers and then eventually Immortals. But what Maru does with that is he does this one base build that is just tough enough with proper micro that you can't really stop it. Stalkers are fine in fighting isolated groups of units, but head-to-head on the ground, Stalkers lose that fight basically every time.
And I think on that build, you really need to get behind the Liberators. As you were saying, you need to take out the Liberators first, and then with the Immortal, you push forward. You take out the bunkers, the tanks, and stuff like that. But
you know, it was that
still very hard
Liberator
to
that was sent in there. You could see that even when Maru practiced the build, he seemed to know when the squash was coming in, when he's going to be hit from all those sides, and there was already a Liberator making a beeline up to that base, and that's where all the probes are. And even if you
because you kill the natural, right?
Yeah, even if you pull all your probes, whether it's one base mining versus one base that's not mining, and Terran's army is already more sophisticated. There are more production buildings that are out, a barracks, which is reactored, a factory, a starport, that you can get a pretty sophisticated army to kind of answer anything that Protoss has at that point in time, because Protoss does go for that quick expansion.
As you said, the modern 1-1-1, you make tanks, you make Marines, and you make Liberators, and that's about it. You make one Cyclone too, which is good for poking. Well, you can push away the Warp Prism even if you get it into position.
The thing about the Cyclone, is you can poke really fast, because some people might wonder, why don't you just get immediately a second tank? Well, first of all, the Cyclone gets there faster on its feet, on its wheels.
I'm like, well,
on its little Cyclone
let's not
feet.
go that far. I mean,
it gets there fast enough. You can see that, like, right when the medevac is there, able to start, skipping forward with the tank, the Cyclone gets there as well. So then you have two units, and there's a Liberator en route. You have two units that can actually poke in and then jump back out. And the Liberator gives you a secure area in that liberation zone to basically hold, especially for Stalkers. I mean,
and there's 3 bunkers too, which he made.
He
made 3 bunkers, even though he didn't keep the Marines in there. He wasn't playing it that passively. He had them in case he had to fall back. You know, if the Protoss was going to push from the front, he could just go into the back bunkers and really just defend pretty easily. So,
and we got actually a lot of non-Koreans in the audience now. Now, this is the ideal date here. Is actually they're not actually looking at our screen, but they're just
there's that moment of realization.
That moment of realization.
Kiss cam.
Kiss cam. Well, I got to say, though, that build from Maru is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because, I know that Terrans have been having a hard time against Protoss. And, a lot of that was the Adept was really good. Even when Blizzard adjusted it, it's just like there's no unit that we've really had in RTSs that move like that. And so Terrans kind of had